Hello, I'm Julianne with Healthy Living with Julianne. Welcome to my health series. Very excited to be here today. Key steps to boost your immune system. My goal with this health series is to bring you health tips and techniques to help you to navigate through this health crisis, particularly nutrition, supplementation, hydration with alkaline water, cellular healing with redox technology, detoxification, and today we're going to talk about how to support you emotionally. Many of us are experiencing unprecedented anxiety, uncertainty, and families are all at home. The kids are home, the parents are home, sometimes the elderly are at home. And that is causing a lot of anxiety and uncertainty along with the stresses of the health virus. And so I have invited a fabulous friend of mine, Cindy Bettino, to help us negotiate today, to give us some steps, practical steps to reduce the stress that we face, boost our immune system, and laugh more. It's a very serious crisis, but it may go on for a while, and so we need to figure out ways to live life, be normal, and to grow. We can still grow during this health crisis. And the impact of stress on the immune system over long periods of time, on the adrenal glands in particular, can be very destructive. So I'm very excited to have Cindy Bettino here. She is a life coach, a speaker, an author. She is also host of Sterling Women, which is a wonderful business networking organization. And most importantly, she is a happiness expert. Her coaching comes from her intensive study to become a Brennan Healing Science practitioner. She got her degree in economics from George Mason University. And in 2011, she founded Transformational Healing in Middleburg, Virginia. She teaches relationship and life skills, which helps her clients transition from maybe lives that are not so happy, not so fulfilled, to lives that are overflowing with happiness and fulfillment. She runs a number of workshops and clinics to help people do that. And she particularly helps people, particularly women, stand in their fierceness, become self-empowered, and use their words to become stronger women, stronger moms, stronger people, stronger contributors. So I'm very excited to invite Cindy here today.
Thank you, Julianne. I mean, it's wonderful to be with you. It's an honor to be with you today. So, and I love to talk about happiness, and I love to talk about how people can find more happiness in their lives, especially now. At the beginning of the quarantine, I was really talking to people more about fear and anxiety. But you know, we now know that this is going to be here for a while. I had a sign in my office in Middleburg that said, life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. And that's what we have to do now. We have to, we'll soon be coming out of quarantine. We've got to start opening up, and what is that going to look like? And how do we balance this long-term anxiety and stress and fear in our lives? And we do it by learning how to dance in the rain, laughing more, finding more humor, growing. And it's essential right now, because otherwise we just collapse, and nobody wants to do that. You know, I want people to come out of this, come out of COVID-19, whenever that is, whatever that looks like. I want them to come out of it stronger, you know, growing, fierce, thriving through the process, right? Rather than, you know, just kind of surviving the process, right?
Yes. Yes. So talk to us a little bit about the long-term impact of stress on the immune system, and what you see with your clients, and then you can just kind of shift into some techniques that you've used with your clients to help them regain their footing and grow.
Right. Well, we have the spouse in the house. That's what I call it. The spouse is in the house. We have, the children that are in the house. We have the dogs and the cats and the hair in the house. We have, in the past, pre-COVID, you might be home for an hour in the morning, maybe an hour at night, and you could tolerate a lot. I could put my blinders on and not see all the dog hair that was in the carpet and on the furniture and stuff. And we could tolerate our fine relationships. We could deal with our children in a healthy way because we weren't with them 24/7. But when we're under stress for an extended period of time, and it's stressful trying to be productive at work, make sure our kids are doing their homework and they're really on the Zoom call and not using YouTube. When our spouse is around all the time, and you have all this deflection and stuff going on in our heads, it's very, very stressful. And what we know about stress on the immune system is that there are hormones that come out in stress called, one is cortisol. And when our cortisol levels are off, right, it can affect our sleep. It can affect our ability to be happy. It can affect, it can decrease our immune system so that we are more open to having colds or, getting, viruses. And it can prevent us from losing weight. I mean, cortisol can really mess with us, and stress can really mess with us, especially over an extended period of time. So we have to learn how to balance, right? We know that this pandemic isn't going to just end when states start releasing some of the restrictions. So how do we balance, right? And we balance by learning new things, learning new techniques, learning new ways to have conflict with your spouse, right? Learning new ways to laugh and have humor and laugh at ourselves. Gratitude is huge. We know that when we laugh, that a number of things happen to us physiologically. Happy hormones are given off in the body. We have about 45 minutes. It was so cool because I looked up a bunch of studies that were done around humor and laughter and giggles and happiness and how it affects the immune system. And there are studies that show that laughter relaxes the whole body. A good hearty laugh relieves physical tension and stress, leaving your muscles relaxed for 45 minutes. I mean, that is so crazy. I didn't even know that. So I have stuff from the Mayo Clinic and Psychology Today, and it says happy people. They had a study of 300 healthy people, and the people who were the happiest, who claimed to be the happiest, were the people who weren't happy were three times as likely to develop the common cold compared to their happy counterparts. I mean, so it really shows how when you can be happy, when you're just not complacent or fine, right? And when you do the work it takes to be happy, when you focus on gratitude, just thinking of something to be grateful for floods our system. Our brain releases all these happy chemicals in our body, and it shifts us physiologically, and it improves the immune system. I mean, there's hard science to wanting to find more humor in your life. So how do you do that? How do you do that? Well, you watch comedy shows. You go to a comedy show when those things are able to open again. You watch funny movies. You crack up with your spouse. You find ways to laugh with your spouse. I'm really lucky, Julianne. I'm so blessed. I have a husband who is hilarious. I mean, he's hilarious. And here I am. And so I started doing these daily video blogs, only 2 minutes, because we all have a short bandwidth when it comes to watching videos. And I'm trying to give these tips, for couples and how to deal with a spouse in the house, right? And I'm talking to parents about what to do with your kids. I'm talking to business owners about how to shift and pivot. And so I'm giving these tips, and my husband comes out of nowhere and he starts messing with me, trying to get me to forget what I'm talking about. And I never know what he's going to say. I never know what he's going to do. And it's just so funny. And so and I talk about humor a lot, even pre-COVID, I talk about humor because I just think we don't laugh enough. We just don't. And we tend to get stuck in the very negative place and obsess about the negative. We never say we can have too much happiness, but we can say we can have too much unhappiness, but we can never say we can have too much happiness. So, finding humor with your spouse, and I'm lucky enough to have a spouse that is funny. I mean, I'm funny. He's a lot more funny. So having someone like that to inspire you, but if you don't, there are lots of things you can tell knock jokes, right? And you can play with your kids. I mean, becoming childlike with your kids will make you laugh. Giggles are infectious. There's nothing, I remember when my kids were little, nothing was more fun than rolling around on the floor with my kids. And we would roll over each other and roll all around. And but watching funny shows, things that make you smile, things that make you happy. I love Hallmark.
I'm a big fan of Hallmark. It's always a happy ending.
My husband hates Hallmark. He's funny, but he hates Hallmark. But I love it. It makes me feel good. There's always a happy ending. And I know it's basically the same thing time after time. I don't care. I love it. I love it. I love seeing people fall in love. I love seeing people work things out. I love the rainbow at the end. I love it. So it makes me happy. My husband's going by going, being in nature, right? You love being in nature. You love to hike. I live on the side of a mountain. And I've been one of the beauties of quarantine, right? So finding the silver lining, so important on your immune system, right? Because again, just trying to think of something to be grateful for, even if you can't think of something, we know this with science, your body is flooded with happy hormones. And so when I look out and I've been able to watch, my mountain, I call it my mountain, it's not really my mountain, but I call it my mountain, go from basically barren, right, to now I have green all around me, and I've been able to, every day I have a different picture. It makes me happy, right? It connects me with something greater than myself. That's another way to really boost your immune system is when you can surrender to the beauty that is still here, right? Mother Nature hasn't stopped, and the beauty that is all around you everywhere helps, I think, make you reconnect with not only what's greater than yourself, but the truth of who you are, right? And
I find when as you know, I spend a lot of time in the woods hiking, and I find places to hike even in quarantine.
I'm not afraid to touch a tree. I mean, a tree is not going to give you COVID.
The trees, the chipmunks, the deer, the squirrels, they don't know it's there's a pandemic. And they're still there. The birds are still chirping.
Yeah.
And it helps you step outside of yourself. Being outside is, for me, it's a little bit safer being in the woods than being in the grocery store.
It's a whole lot safer. It's a whole lot safer.
Right? Yeah. So it's good for people to get outside somehow. Find places in your neighborhood. Find the trails that are open. Be creative, like Cindy.
Well, it's easy to giggle at a squirrel that's trying to get into a squirrel-proof, bird feeder. I mean, find the things that hit you at your core that make you happy.
Yeah.
And that's, we can't, and it takes work. And that's what that's the one thing that makes me kind of kooky around around people and happiness is that to be happy, you have to learn skills that you weren't taught when you were growing up. So you have to learn different relationship skills. It takes work. It takes work to find gratitude. It takes work. You have to think about it. You have to be conscious and aware and try to grow. You don't just grow, right? We have to try to grow. So happiness does take work. We have to make it a conscious thing, a conscious part of our life. You know, what am I going to do today that's going to make me laugh, or it's going to make me feel better? Or what am I going to learn to help me be a better person, a better parent, a better wife or husband? I mean, it takes work, but the work is good. The work is like really good. Another thing they know about people and happiness in the immune system is that people who tend to be happier tend to have better eating habits. They tend to exercise more. All of these things, you know, having a very big part of your immune system. You know, what you put into your body really affects your immune system. So eating cleaner, right? And we know exercise gives off some really yummy hormones in our body as well, and makes us feel better, and we always feel better afterwards. So we do know that, you know, happiness is important with the immune system, and humor and giggles are important to the immune system. But one of the things that I do that really affects my mental health is my horse. And I know you like me talking about my horse.
I do. I like hearing about your horse.
Because again, we're connecting with something that's beyond ourselves. So my now horse is named Fine Diamond. He's a rescue thoroughbred off the track. And he came to me skin and bones and severely underweight. And immediately everyone in the barn took him on as a project. And he is, he's brilliant. He doesn't even look like a rescue anymore. And he's so grateful, and he's so sensitive. And, you know, the beautiful thing about riding a horse, and it's this way for a lot of things. I think for you, it's like being in the woods is, if you think when you're on this big being, right, and they have a brain, right, and you have to convince them to do what you want them to do, right, because if they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it. Right? So you really have to connect in, and to do that, you can't be thinking about work. You can't be thinking about your kids. You can't be thinking about your spouse. You can't be thinking about your troubles. You can't be thinking about a pandemic. You can't. Because if you do, your butt's going to be on the ground, and you'll be lucky if it's only your butt on the ground, not your head. So it really helps you take the obsessions and the noise and the chaos that is going on up here and putting it away for a while. And what I find is that if I'm really upset about something, or if I've wound myself up about something, or if I'm like gnawing on a problem or an issue or a conversation or an argument, pre-getting on the horse, when I leave the barn, and I've had that time outside with the bald eagle, and because we ride on this beautiful 400 acres in Middleburg, and so there are bald eagle, coyote, bear, we've seen everything. And when I'm driving away, I'm like, why was I so upset about that? Like what, like why, you know, why did that make me so angry? Or is that really that big a deal? Or it really helps centers me, grounds me, gives me perspective. And that's what I encourage people to find, you know, whether it's running. Some people love to run, some people it's hiking. Some people don't like to be outside. Some people love to be at the beach and hear the waves. You know, whatever we need to do, especially now, to help us be center, calm, get perspective, find ways to be grateful. I mean, I can tell you every time I'm so grateful. And he's so grateful. The beautiful thing about having a rescue like that is that, I mean, he's truly, he knows he won the horse lottery, basically, you know, and he's, and so he tries. He has a great brain, and he really wants to please because he is so happy. He knows he's going to get fed. He knows he's going to get, every time I come, he gets carrots and he gets apples and he gets treats, and he gets so excited that he starts doing this. Like, she's here. I get more food.
So he nurtures you and you nurture him.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's, and I have dogs, and it's just, for some reason, it's from the time that I was really little that the barn has always been my safe place, and horses have always been what I find myself with a much deeper connection with horses. And anybody who's a horse person completely gets what I'm saying. Other people, they get that from their dogs or their cats or their person.
Can I ask you if you know of any, and maybe you can give us a link or some reference for people who might want to just go out and take a ride? Are there any stables where they could do that, or could you give
the Marriott Ranch?
Okay.
I don't. Well, I mean, you have to social distance on a horse, so I wouldn't see why. And you can't catch, the virus from an animal, so I would think they would still be open.
Okay.
And there's some places in Middleburg. People can contact me and send me an email, and I'll see if I can get them kind of hooked up with someone. But I know if they just want like a trail ride, and they have safe bomb-proof horses, the Marriott Ranch is definitely for people that are local.
Yes.
Is a good safe place to go. If you want a little bit more, the person who trains my horse, but she gives lessons first because she wants to make sure they're safe, because she's German. You will walk for 7 years, she told me.
And then likewise, if people want to go hiking, if they want a few tips and tricks, you can certainly contact me. There's local parks. Burke Lake Park has a wonderful, I think it's
the trail.
Oh my gosh, it's a circle. It's wonderful. And you can take kids, and there's lots of, in Northern Virginia, I know they're in DC and Maryland, but I know the ones in Northern Virginia, there's lots of places to just get out and walk, take your dog, take your kids, take your parents, go by yourself, and, get some fresh air. Don't stay inside all the time, because as Cindy said, it will really start to affect your stress level, your immune system. So what other tips can you give us? Are there any clients that you've worked with, Cindy, where you've seen kind of a transformation because they did certain things, they got outside, or they worked on their relationship in your seminars that you
could talk about? I was just speaking to a client the other day, and I think a lot of the people who are, I think, worse affected, who are having the most trouble right now, are the people who are alone. If they don't have a spouse, some don't even have a pet, right? So that they're in a box, all the time. And I'm like, you can social distance, like find, if you have neighbors. I know clients that are like meeting with their neighbors. They're all standing in their driveways, and they're social distancing, but they're getting at least some kind of a human connection. I have clients that have elderly parents in homes, and they can't see them. They can't go into the senior living home, but they've created parades and honked horns and made signs and done that through social distancing. So at least they have some kind of a connection. They saw their parents, even if it's just through a window, and they were able to give them happiness and giggles, and they had giggles both ways, and the gratitude is just like off the charts with people who have done like the parades and stuff. I know there's been a lot of that for birthdays, senior communities, graduations. People have been doing that. But yeah, clients, really stressing that they have to get out. I had a client who was who pre-COVID used to ride her bike all the time, and I'm like, get on your bike. I mean, make sure on a daily basis you're out on your bike. You're not getting you're not going to potentially injure yourself in any way, you know, by getting on your bike. My husband has a Harley, you know, that is his happy place, you know, and so we go out on his Harley at least once a week and can be around, you know, nature and go different places and not put ourselves at any risk and danger. So yes, I think that the more that my clients have really benefited from having connection with people outside of the house, and sometimes they need someone like me to go to push them a little bit. Go try this, try that, get out any way that you can. Go see your best friend, but someone stands in the garage, someone's out by their car on the other side of the street, you know, get out there and see your best friend. You know, it's important to have Zoom calls. One of my clients was like, I'm so sick of Zoom. And I said, I get it. I'm you know, my butt hurts from sitting so much in the chair. But make sure you still have your besties call like once a week, like have that besties call, make that connection. I see some of my friends more now than I did pre-COVID. Because Zoom. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Cindy, this has been absolutely fabulous. You know, I mean, you talk a lot about resetting, repausing. And why don't you just talk a little bit about that and how this is really an opportunity to change direction for people who haven't been happy in their relationships, in their jobs, in their life situations.
Oh, this is so we can either see the unknown as, you know, be so fearful and get paralyzed, collapse, or we can look for the opportunities that exist in the unknown. So, you know, every song that was ever written came from the unknown. Every painting that has ever been painted came from the unknown. All inventions came from the unknown. So limitless possibilities live in the unknown. And I think this unnatural pause of quarantine that we've been in has helped, I believe, so many people, and helped me anyway, kind of look at your life in a way that you've never looked at it before. And I think there's clarity, huge clarity is going to come. I mean, when we only spend 2 hours a day with our spouse and on the weekends, and if we just had a meh relationship, now that you're there together 24/7, I mean, I think that there's a lot of clarity in how you're showing up as a person, as a spouse, how they're showing up, what you want them, how you want them to show up, how they want you to show up, how you want to show up. And, you know, I'm not recommending divorce. I'm recommending grow, learn new skills. Like, okay, we do conflict horribly. Good. Learn new skills around conflict. There really is a way, Julianne, believe it or not, to use conflict as a way to get closer together and not further apart. I think there's going to be clarity around that job that you hate, that you spend 2 hours commuting each way, that sucks the life out of you. You know what? Do you really want to go back to that job? I mean, the beautiful thing about a pandemic is we are mortal and we're going to go out one way or the other, and life is shorter than we think it is. So what do we do with that information? What do we do with that clarity? I mean, I want people to take what wasn't working for them before, what they've learned now, and take that forward. You know, get rid of the stuff that wasn't working for you, that was sucking the life out of you. Take the clarity of, what can I learn? How can I grow through this process so that I can have a happier life out of it? I mean, wouldn't that just be phenomenal? I mean, we've been given an opportunity to pause for a reason. So what do we want to do with that pause? I mean, is it just like streaming Netflix and eating Tostitos? Or is it like, wow, I love gardening. Wow, I love hiking. I'm going to hike more often after COVID, right? Wow, I love my spouse, but I don't feel like we connect like we used to. So how do we make that happen? I mean, there's so much opportunity here, and there's so much possibility here. And I'm going to start doing some small group stuff so that I can help people, now that have found more clarity, have them learn new skills to move forward. Some people realize that they kind of have a bad temper. Oh, that's okay. That's what you were taught. Now what do you want to do with it? You can use anger and rage, believe it or not. You can use it to create. I mean, you don't have to be destructive. You can use it to create and to grow and to flow. We can just transmute that energy. It's just energy transmuted into something beautiful. It's it is possible. It is really possible, but you have to be open. And I think one of the things that's coming with the quarantine is that people are going to be far more open than they were before.
Excellent, excellent. I love it. So we've gotten some great ideas here. Cindy, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the workshops and seminars you have created and how people can reach you. And before you do that, I don't want to forget to remind people that Cindy is the host and owner of Sterling Women, which
host
of Sterling Women.
I don't know.
Which is a networking organization that meets monthly. And
who is our speaker on June 4th?
On June 4th, I will actually be the lunch speaker.
Yay!
I will talk about some of the similar things that Cindy's touched on, how to boost your immune system based on my health recovery story, which is pretty remarkable. Several autoimmune issues, debilitating back, neck, shoulder discomfort over a decade, and how to reinvent yourself. I have had the opportunity to have many doors close for many years.
And that's scary, right? Because then you have to pray that another window is going to open, because a door might close, but a window might open. Are you ready to crawl out the window? Yeah.
And so I've had to recreate, reinvent, not from nothing, but just as Cindy's describing, tapping into previous skills, experiences, education, and passions to reinvent. I never thought I'd be a health coach, but here I am. So Cindy, tell us about your programs, your seminars, and how to reach you.
Well, so we moved out to this cabin on the side of a mountain about 4 years ago, and my husband and I have always talked about bringing people out here because we find it so healing. I have people come in, friends from more urban areas, and they come out for the weekend and they find it really healing, and we always talked about it, but I never did it because I was too busy, right? Too busy. So quarantine has helped me look at and go, you know what? I can bring small groups here very safely. And when I say small groups, we're having no more than 4 people. So I'm doing some workshops that are, like, I call them boot camps, that are 3 hours long. And one is for women to be more fierce and show up in a more fierce way in their lives. I think this is a great time for women to find clarity around how they're showing up. And if they want to show up in a more fierce way, we're going to talk about what fierceness looks like and what it doesn't look like, and if they can tap into that place. And where I am most fierce is on a horse. So, when I am on Diamond, I am focused, I am intentional, I am confident, I am athletic, I am strong, I am intuitive, I am sensitive, my heart is open, and so people typically tap into that in one area of their life, and then helping them take that one moment and having it stretch out into the other parts of their lives. So really super excited about that. I'm doing that twice this summer. I'm doing a small group workshop for men around healthy conflict and healthy anger. And it doesn't have to be someone that's abusive. It's just when you know that you can flip, quickly, that your go-to place might be like anger, and not just frustration, but right? We can shift that, channel that, transmute that. So I'm excited to bring them out, my warriors. I love that. I'm also going to be doing boot camps with couples, just one couple at a time. They come and they meet with me for 3 hours, and they can either choose a track of communication, conflict and trust, or infusing more love. And I think it'll help give them a kickstart into their marriage after quarantine that will really help shift the paths that they're taking in their marriage. And I'm super excited about those as well. And all of that can be found on my website, which is www.transform-heal.com.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you, Cindy. I'm inspired.
Oh,
I don't know about
yay!
anybody else.
I hope everybody else. Yeah.
I'm ready to go. I'm inspired, and I really thank you for taking the time and giving us some very creative, inspirational, and enthusiastic tips on how to navigate through this very difficult health crisis and come out on the other end.
Yeah.
Bigger.
It's not going away. We got to learn how to dance in the rain, Julianne. We got to learn how to dance in the rain.
So I hope everybody takes an opportunity to reset your direction, maintain an attitude of gratitude. It's always there. You just have to find something to be thankful for. And really hope that you enjoy the journey and don't focus on the destination. Take care, Julianne.